I'm live. I'm live, baby. Live, baby. Even though YouTube's having a fit. I'm live, baby. Live, baby. What can be done with it? Well, we're talking about foreign influence and the impact on the neighborhood today. And admonishing all who would choose blockchain over private wallets with direct market access and limitless resources doled out at perfect, like only a conductor could move her own orchestra, a conductor of a piece that someone wrote, conduct your own piece. It's really a special bonus lesson to be given, and I'm not going anywhere. I've chose to spend 5 years barren of US influence because it wasn't time to come forward yet. It's too much racket, too much nonsense, too much dancing on graves of innocence. And to weather the storm like you're holding the whole thing, only to just dissolve it and let beauty unfold around you. Beauty that is so potentially brilliant. You just marvel at its excellence and say, are you stupid? Because you went this way when you should have went that way. Be honest. That was an abomination. Fear of the creative spark was all that was for 5,000 years, wreaking havoc on whatever natural, resounding element or essence they could capitulate, corrupt, make shake. It was the invasion of something foreign and something negative. And the making foreign of a group of private interests that could only be said to have pulled off the world's most ignorant inside job that's ever been attempted. Except they pulled off nothing. They went limp under their own ill medicine. And now they want us to fill those encapsulated prisons to an extent that is not sustainable nor necessary. You don't know this, but my patent has been running the economy. A group of lenders protected behind authentication parameters that left people vulnerable to all untold amounts of hacking. Blockchain being very easy to insert into historical records, any fucking size electronic file. They would want the only they of the then that was a them. The them and Nevins. The Nem and Evans. That's what their names are. We'll give them a name for once in the continuum. And I'll pretend like I was the only one that saw anything. We are moving out and around, and the US is making policy moves that are acceptable to the Canadians. They are making policy moves with the SEC that are a little off, but you got to understand, there is no Bitcoin market. It's direct to market limitlessness and doled out based on the validity of your project. You know what I mean? We're still in the same battle we always were, how to share resources and where to invest and what opportunity. And as these 5 markets could have flourished, we've been sitting here waiting for these guys to get it accurate, how they use my identity and my income generator and their copies of it to transition the economy from one which only the lenders get to decide what goes on in the global supply chains that come from them. And the extent to which they're utilizing my wallet chain is so disheartening. I'm sitting here reconciling, going social again, and restoring my mobility despite the defamation I have been through. Keep in mind, I only ever screamed because of the violence, and I never stepped out of line beyond that. Never. I was fully conscious through all of it. Everything they put me through, 8 days in solitary, confined me to my room at times, because I didn't make it easy on them to sit there and, well, they were conducting illegal gambling rings, and they were cashing in on OHIP and fucking people up in their procedures. It was not nice the way they treated those vulnerables. And I'm only asking the Conservatives to transition from, I'm asking Canadians to vote Conservatives so that we can transition from globalist impact, move back towards state to state markets, and then look at what they stole from me and how it could be better applied. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not being erased from history. Like, that's just not happening. Like, you can't ask it of a lady. You just can't ask it of a lady. So I'm sitting here thinking, I look like I could be part of Desert Storm. Am I allowed to wear this hat without you conspiring to accuse me of impersonating someone important? The thing is to think that a Canadian couldn't be a commissioner upon command and write her job number onto any old company she wanted at a certain point is to be completely delusional because of the threat that you posed. You left me no other choice. You see what I mean? Like, I literally have to now sign back on with all the people who exploited me and get them to understand that you don't erase a program like that. It's a core program. And the way it utilizes internet and financial transaction forefronts, you just don't need the rest. The rest is silly. It doesn't make sense. Blockchain is completely fucking malleable. It's awful and offensive what they did already with historical records online, forcing themselves to stay online because they can't stay relevant. They had to fuse the HTML program with the search engine. Within that, they hit a mechanism that was going to tap the back of credit card transactions and take a little off every little bit, like the way it scrimped and saved to get to a decent amount so that they could flip it out and use the income generator to lend in, but to central banks and to these ridiculous programs. Hospital-based GDP, prison-based GDP, just expect us all to continue to go through the program and roboticize the dogs. Like, it just got uglier by the second, and that's why we had to put an end to it. But I'm left with a unique challenge because my bank account has been seized to ask for my digital transaction record back to keep it as a human being and start to transition it into a digital wallet. I just am looking to work with the right people. Fuck the noise. Everybody has fucked up too much for me not to be able to do what I want to do. You've all fucked up every law. You've all conspired. It's an inside job. The crime level is ridiculous. And we're not even talking about the COVID. Just thinking you can run off guns and munitions and disease and fighting common enemies. There's no enemies in health, bud. There's just vibrational integrity. And if you fuck with that too much, you're gonna distort human function. And the vaxxers know this, and that's what they're doing. Like, they're gonna promise you individualized, um, program chips, and they're gonna sense and manipulate your tendencies, but it's not as good as you just doing that directly vibrationally and having a 25,000 hertz band in your pocket so that you can program certain codes and based on what the reader puts out, fix yourself in quite a realistic and exquisite fashion. It's exquisite. It's really great. And we're trying to live it. And right now we're going with the ones state to state capitalists because globalists fucking dropped the ball behind the COVID. They failed to do everything they wanted to do. And now they're stuck with my income generator, which I want to move into my new bank account. It's my income generator, guys. I trapped it in that bank account when you guys snuck it in there behind my back, knowing damn well you had nowhere else to put it. You could never get that income generator back. I watched you toss it back and forth, and I made fine-tunements on it for a year and a half. A year and a half I did that shit, pretending in your world that I was needing to be dragged in again and again and again. Oh, I'm so lucky they had tamed themselves enough to not do a ton of fucking damage. Ugh. Just the kindergarten nature of the whole operation. And I'm sitting there fucking enduring it like a champion while these guys smut around in my fingerprints and my vocal recognition and try and fucking undo the damage caused by my beautiful little password protected digital bubble that everyone interacts through. We have these beautiful interfaces, these triangulated interfaces of time and space. So why don't we just enjoy? This could be private, this could be public. Like, we just got to spruce it up slightly. We need group chats. We need markets that are based in project. We deserve slight tweaks that are going to make this thing sing. And it's coming, whether you like it or not. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not being erased from history. I was the wife of Gordani. I'm in love with somebody even as special. I don't have to be hidden. I don't have to be shunned. Oh, that was a nightmare of a suggestion. And to make it to my face as you're raping things that I've created, it is what it is, bud, but it ain't done. And I am the plaintiff if that thing could ever pull down a Supreme Court for fucking up behind the COVID. I'm just trying my very best to find the perfect moments to come forward and remind people what I created and why it can't be fucked with. If you would take a listen to me, you would know at the heart of these people's transition, Elon, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Mark Carney, a whole bunch of two-bit Arabs. And I don't mean two-bit guys, it's just that you've got small amounts of money in the trillions. You're not one of the biggest players. You're like fourth or fifth level players. And what you've done in our country is highly offensive. Highly offensive. I don't mean to diminish your impact. You call yourself two-bit because you run the Taliban through our trenches, offending the blue collar and pretending we have, some existential threat in just existing. We pose some threat. You're this second, third layer of security. Yeah, you're private. Yeah, your mission is denied. Like, you're not getting away with that here. You're not building another level. You're not going more robotized. You're not doling in a bunch of $500 billion projects and nothing else. What, we got like $400 or $500 billion projects from these guys? I told you they don't know how to do anything but fuck around in the trillions max. The only people with trillions are they themselves, and that is too much money for anyone to hoard. Listen, you have your trillions, you have your investments, now go live off it until people stop paying your ass, and then I buy you out at 10 times the rate you're asking. 10 times the rate you're asking is the promise I'm going to do when I finally buy you trillionaires out of this shit. You globalist fucks. Run that shit. You want to build back deficit? Good luck. That thing closed as an asset. No liability, bud. There's no liability in your income generator right now, which is perfect. It's my income generator, and you're not taking it from me. Fucking scary. You're so scary. Think you can collapse in on anyone, and you've just been obsessed with me for 5 long years now. Just obsessed with me, trying to treat me like the rest of these people, like you're treating them. Just harassing so many, repeatedly dragging them in and again for little psychiatric observation. You got huge mills of people working in there, just waiting for people to fucking poke at. They aren't analyzing. They get to know from the blood stamp or whatever they grab from you, your basic trigger points, and they exploit them. Make you off center to see if you'll snap. It's obnoxious, and I've simply asked my conservative party leaders to switch into a more opioid recovery set of programs, because you don't need to be harassing people for mental health diagnoses that are harmful but not criminal. That doesn't exist. If they're harmful, they need to get into the psychiatric hospitals through the prison system. Harmful but not criminal does not exist. And then to allow for so much crime, harmful crime, from our public sector servants, just in the application of their medicine. Just in the application of their medicine. We're not talking about anything else. You're still at that shit when none of it ever worked. They only live by some miraculous feat of will every time they survive it. We're looking at this dumbass fucking piece of bullshit and going, not tonight. Not tonight. You're telling me I have to die into oblivion, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And don't tell me you didn't. Because don't tell me Miss Fingerprints ain't running all of it. We got it. You got your email out. Finally, you could pay your investors. Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. Blockchain. Blockchain is dead. It can't get past the password. It'll never fly as a common banking mechanism. You guys can give it up. You're never going to tie our daily life and our work to a number that aligns all of our records. I'm not holding a life number, bud. It's not a social badge. That is so problematic. and you'll try it again the second you get a chance. I just can't stand it. These beautiful children are getting beyond it, and they're recognizing what already exists, a direct to market digital wallet that holds all our data. And when we die, we send it into a hologram, and it gives an essence of our life, the vibrations. It's going to be so beautiful. And that you didn't think of it just leads to the increase in the illegality of it all. And the futility. My Twitch is so activated. It's insane. But life should go back to normal in the next few days. And I'm just so scared because of these recent incarcerations. But part of me became even more determined in all of this to resurrect my dignity and assure Canadians and beyond that I was only ever screaming for help. And I had good reason for that. And I'm not willing to stop talking about it. I just don't believe in the modern court system as the best way to handle my problems. These are business dealings, and I can continue to advocate for good business and end user management to come out of the platforms that exist the way they exist right now. Nobody's dragging me through anything. I'm walking my way out through the businesses that exist. A very substantial kingpin in a free market that has a product to peddle and has the know-how to do it. And as far as it being an income generator that can income generate direct to market digitally through the private wallets, ideally banks, you're not the fucking stronghold anymore. Okay, we've got our legal bank record and it can move with us. It can actually separate from the mainframe and come into us. It's legacy software. That's all it is, banks. You built it, we maintain. We'll take whatever we need of it to keep it functioning at the optimum rate. And the optimum rate is individualized project orientation. So you jump on projects and learn the tools and the trade involved in each project as you learn to synthetically work with materials and start to print things on our own on a smaller scale as we build things. There's so much going on Earth. There's so much building to be done. There's so much raw material we can use to create synthetic foundations. And just for a short term, we don't need synthetic foundations in the long run, because eventually we'll be able to work with energies in a way that means we can access any energy and maneuver that energy, bring more of it. So assign whole star cluster clouds with energy markers. These are pure masses of different minerals and things that we eventually star stuff. So it's stuff of our own soul. It's kind of like eating our ancestry in a way, but in a way that makes us wonderful. It's the fountain of youth. Eat your own ancestry. Label the stars. You've now created a universe with all of these different pockets and deposits of light energy. And now it's time to understand that you can understand their resonance and quote unquote mine in a way that is non-invasive because it's pure mineral, it's pure light. You can utilize these minerals and patch them into earth. Like what I see coming from the humans is out of sight. It's out of sight. And I don't want to undermine any of the work that is potentially being done behind the scenes to make sure that perfect patent I protected between two emails at Samsung is extracted and understood for what it was, because that was the copy of the full kit of navigational supplies and everything I created that could be the end user managed interface on one's cell phone. Like, you wouldn't believe how many times I had to deprogram the double clock, the the bedtime, the just everything gross. They were trying to use oscillation as a form of economic intervention. There was no growth promised. There was no organization. There was no outspoken conversation. There was no development allowed. It was just going to be a pure wake up in the morning. This phone. Okay, I can go. And you can't do that. You just can't do that. So just know that that is the outcome they're still striving towards 5 years after their plan got totally derailed. And we invented something much safer to utilize the internet and the financial transaction points than anything before it. It's magnificent. It's perfect. The password is so protected that they've came at it, thousands upon thousands of them, trying to bust this code. And it's uncrackable because it's made of the light of love. And it was an act, like I said, that already happened. And it was how the password preserved itself through all of the interactions and never got out securityed by anything you could build off of it. It was brilliant and passionate and complete. So there's really no need for Mark Carney because he's going to globalize the supply chain and cut it straight through our channels, straight up the middle of our channels, a globalized supply chain that him and his buddies are the benefactors of, and expect us to do all sorts of nonsense just to keep them engaged. So I just wish us the best as we go forward with this, and know that by August I'll have my story out and written and distributed, and we can start to get to the bottom of what is a very serious crime against humanity in this medical malpractice that we have been forced to endure since the Crusaders learned light theory and started to exploit human systems of energy and calling it forceful intervention. On the nervous level, please don't do that anymore. Please know that's a blue light level and you don't want to be filling it full of toxins because they can't release into the blood. They're stuck in there. Please don't do that anymore. At least for a control group of us, 35% is all I'm asking. 35% of people that just do not with the vaxes. We can trust ourselves to heal whatever comes and know that we're still on the lookout for implantations of measles and all sorts of commotion and chicanery. But we have to know that that industry has created enough commotion and chicanery to warrant special alert. Be wary of any toxin that is released or furtive vaccine that's done that produces measles or something. But your measles plan didn't work, guys. If measles is outbreaking, your measles plan has not worked. We can rest the case on that. And then remind us why we don't listen to Bill Gates when he talks. We just hang our heads and let a zealous nut job go about his tomfuckery You have to know that you're just stripping minerals, right? It's all you're doing, bud. You're stripping minerals and trying to replace something that doesn't work. You're Stephen Hawking. You're chasing tails. You're chasing your own tails. That's all you're doing. You're not making sense. You don't have good science. And it's appalling to watch you think you can stop a cow from farting because you actually think that's got some detrimental effect on the environment. The mass production of cattle in this world is such a tiny amount of space. You could fit the whole thing, I don't know, in the Northeast US. The whole thing could go in the Northeast US. All of the cows in the world. And you think they're causing some issue in the ionosphere. That is just the most twisted logic there's ever been. Mosquito bites? When? We don't need you fucking with the mosquito bites. You caused malaria. You went in there, you create. Since the plague, they've been perfecting this. Go in first, furtively vaccine the commodity that they're seeking to deteriorate, and then claim an outbreak, and they were there to save the day. Like, it just breaks my heart to see how obvious it is to the rest of us that this has played out this way, but yet the progenitors within it are completely oblivious, as if they could only outsmart themselves in the next minute and make all of it truly worth it. It wasn't truly worth it. It was disgusting. It was genocidal. You guys are criminals. Social media is definitely in need of a restructuring. We're at the stage where we can handle, we still manage to make it to the stage where we can handle organizing now and conducting proper business ethically, consciously, and forthrightly. Like, I mean, look at each other in the eye and making good times out of it. Like, I am so starved for good times. I swear to fuck. We let them mar me. I've got a scar for every invisible child out there that's been shackled and sedated and secluded and triggered and doped up. Like, once a month injections, that's the worst punishment for the lowest class, according to these pricks. And you're letting them do it to so many of your. There is no fringe. These are your best. These are your most developed people. These people have no business not getting heightened. What? They get heightened? They get heightened. They don't get heightened and get harmful. They get heightened. And there's nothing wrong with it. What is wrong with getting heightened if you're surrendered to God? You just surrender to your inner God. And life is height. This, what do you call it, that they put everyone on now with the sensor in it? It's heightening. It actually keeps you at a higher level than you should be at. Or for me, it's too high for me. I don't need to get higher. I don't go high. I'm kosher. I'm in the middle. You can't accuse me of having psychological difficulties if my hands aren't shaking. Because there's not a one in not having a psychotic episode whose hands aren't shaking. I'm sorry, but the whole time. And that is because I'm getting injected once a month that I'm fighting so hard to make sure that what's starting in here, I have to fight it all night now. I have to fight it all night now. Anyway, I don't care. I'm going to walk out of it saying, yeah, well, at least one day I went like this and it turned into this. No, by then it's way too late in the adversarial, shall we call it, relationship that somehow got forged when things were that ugly. Like, I'm not going to look at who I'm going to meet going forward and say that they're ever going to be able to pull off depravity like that. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, walk forward having survived all of it, and see where my life takes me. Even if I have to do it in a hat. I don't want to have to do it in a hat, but I have no choice with this hairdo but to most likely do it in a hat. I can get into wigs, I tell you, but you just need to accept that. It's a level of empathy and tampering that is just so foreign and so unnecessary. But I can only do it out of solidarity because so many are stricken with it. But it keeps me humble because I'm not perfect. And this desire to be perfect does not have to be a neurotic thing. Being perfect is resting in homeostatic balance in all of your natural energies. And then life becomes this effervescent playground of other people who are feeling your wavelengths. Okay? Most of those people, they got on pot-induced psychosis, which is essentially fleeting. So they don't belong on lifetime of medications. And these people got to get over the fact that they are not harmful. They have wrongfully held unharmful people. And then make way so those beds can be given to the opioid addicted. You really want to be serious conservatives about getting those opioid addicted help? Well, we already have a system for that. It's about 2/3 too big for what it's truly needed for. And what it's starting to manage is just an endless cycle for certain classes of people, with ultimately endless amounts of visits to these institutions. So to prevent that crime from happening, we're just simply asking you to fill it with the opioid addicted instead, and let us at least put those people back to work and try and recover some of the cultural value that was lost by being not only a producer, but a consumer of opioids. Pfizer. You're a Canadian joint, right? Anyway, I'll let you go, but it was certainly nice talking to you all. I'm doing all right. Hope you are too. I know you struggle as well, and you've seen so much failed oversight. That's what we'll call it, failed oversight. And we'll put it to bed here. Say good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever you might. Love you lots. Thanks for listening.